Yo, besties, welcome back to the Lifted podcast. I want to dive deep into people pleasing because I know all the girls listening are people pleasers because we all are. We literally, every single one of us, even if you don't want to admit it, all of us people please. It's just a normal human thing to want to be like included and feel like you fit in and feel like you're not an outcast, I guess. Yeah, so let's get into it. I wanted to talk mostly about people pleasing because I feel like, first of all, it's a big thing that has come up recently. A lot of the girls that I've been talking to, or even just instances that I've been involved in, is a lot of people pleasing. And I think I've worked really, really hard recently and for the last couple of years on just stopping myself from trying to people please. I think it's still something that is definitely like human nature. Like, we'll never fully get rid of that feeling of wanting to fit in and not wanting to be judged and not wanting to like feel different, I guess. I think it's a little bit more normal now that we want to feel different and we feel okay in our skin and we're trying to accept ourselves for the way that we are. But at the same time, I think things can still get to us. We can still try to people please. We can still do things for other people when we maybe don't want to do it ourselves. And there are definitely instances where you should be doing things, out of the good of your heart for other people and just to support other people and that kind of thing. But there's definitely a time when you need to set boundaries. And an instance that I've had recently is just me cutting my hair. Do you know how many people I talked to because I was so terrified to cut it? Like, I feel like I was scared because I haven't had really short hair lately. Actually, recently. Actually, fucking never. I don't think I ever have, really, aside from maybe growing up. But I really haven't. And, like, I think that fear of almost losing that, like, feminine side of myself and whatever. First of all, I am an idiot for even thinking that because I think being feminine and what I've like learned about it, this might be all over the place, you guys. I have notes, but I'm not really reading them at all. I'm just kind of speaking from the heart today, okay? Being feminine, I think the more that I'm learning about it and the more that I feel like I'm on that side of TikTok where I don't know if you guys have, I don't even know her name, but there's this TikToker that talks about like being on your feminine side and feeling into that feminine energy. And one thing that she said, or like a couple things that I guess I've heard people say, is like, oh, you can't be like working all the time and you have to be like, basically, you have to be this like Pilates girl all the time and be this softer energy, I guess. And I see that and I hear that and I see that people are trying to say that. I like to work. I'm like this little workaholic. I love my business. I love what I've built. I love our little empire that we've built. And I don't know how much I agree that you shouldn't be working. I think you can still tap so much into your feminine side by just feeling yourself. It's, I don't even know how to describe it, you guys, but like recently I feel like I've just been trying to cut out all of the noise and cut out all of social media and everything that people are really saying. And you know how many people told me not to cut my hair? Crazy. Like, I think almost every single person close to me told me not to do it. And I was like, first of all, that makes me want to do it even more because I'm just like that. But also, it kind of put me in this headspace of like, now I'm really scared because if this turns out really bad, you guys can all say I told you so. And I think that's okay. Like, I think we can be wrong sometimes, but anyway, feeling into your feminine, I feel like I'm really into this topic. What I've been seeing recently is definitely feeling into that feminine side of yourself. I think the way that we do that, I know that the way that we do that is to do shit that we like to do. Like, if you think of that girl that maybe you look up to her or you think she's really, you admire her, you're like, oh my God, one day I honestly want to be that girl. I almost guarantee you that she probably looks like she loves her life. She's very happy. She's content, but she's probably really confident content. Like I'm trying to think of like people that I'm looking up to in the sense. Like, yeah, confidence, I think, is being feminine. I think feeling into that feminine side is being confident. And don't get me wrong, feeling that is really hard. I feel like feeling confident and building that confidence is so hard. And that's why I wanted to tell you guys a couple ways that I tried to build mine. I I wouldn't say that I'm the most confident person. I think I am way more confident than I used to be. You guys, when I was in high school, I actually talked to a girl recently. She did my makeup the other day, and she was just talking about how she grew up very quiet and grew up not saying much. And I have to relate to that because I was that person. If anyone from high school is watching this, you guys know I was like probably the quietest person. I never said my 2 cents. I never put my hand up in class. I was not that person. I was full of anxiety when I was growing up. I never admitted it, but I definitely was. Even for family events, there was no way that I was talking to these random people I didn't fucking know. They were family, you guys, and I wouldn't even say anything. And so I would say I'm very proud of myself actually for having my own podcast. What the fuck am I doing? Crazy. But I think building that is just so hard. I think it took me putting myself out there. I put myself out there when I was in Vancouver. I was like in this marketing job. I actually, now that I think about it, I'm like, who did I think I was? Like honestly, I was a bartender at this bar and it was fine. Like, I think it pulled me out of my shell because anyone that's been a bartender, anyone that has worked in the hospitality industry, you know that, like, sometimes you just have to be an asshole. Like, you actually just, like, can't swallow it. You have to be like, you have to put people in their place sometimes. And I felt like especially when I worked at the bar, because you have drunk people, you have people. I had this guy like throw a shot glass at me, and I was like, okay, like this is like, it is like 1 a.m., and I am not dealing with this right now, okay? I think that job brought so much confidence in me because of that reason, because I had so many moments where I could not swallow what I had to say. Like, there was so many times when I was like, I either have to put myself out there and literally, I didn't yell at people. I just got very sassy very quickly because you lose your patience and you're like, people can't treat other people like this. So I think that job, I'm trying to think of like any other jobs that I had that I just like had to grow up really quickly. 100% it was that job. I feel there was so many instances where I had to put myself in an uncomfortable position. And so through that job, they had a marketing position open up. And I took it, not really knowing what I was getting myself into. And oh my God, they like sent us, oh my God, it gets worse now that I'm thinking about it. So, okay, first, we, my friend and I did this together, and we went into this marketing thing, and at first it was just meetings, At first, we literally sat down. We were getting paid more than we were getting paid as a bartender. So we were like, absolutely yes. We sat down, we had these meetings. Not that we enjoyed them, but we were getting paid. So, like, obviously, we're going to go. And the meetings just like snowballed into deciding to send my friend and I out. It was a country bar. So we had to wear cowboy hats and cowboy boots and little shorty shorts and tops that just like, cleavage all around. And we were those girls running around the streets, handing out pamphlets and being like, come to the bar, come to the bar. And we had to basically sell this. They would send us out during the day to get businesses to come in. And then they'd also send us out at night. So, like Friday night, Saturday night. We were those girls running around being like, come to the bar, come to the bar. Like, yeah, it was like, what are we even doing? And at certain points, we were like, oh my God, like, what am I doing with my life? But we were getting paid more, you guys. So, of course, we were going to do it. We lived in Vancouver. How else were we supposed to afford our rent? And so, that, if you think about like putting yourself out there in that sense, we grew so much confidence because we just always had to tell people where to go and like put people in their place constantly. And so I felt like I grew so much confidence from that job and just like kind of knowing my worth, like being like, and then obviously we just went through stuff with that job. I actually want to tell another story. And this is almost a moment that sometimes I think about because I think it really shot my confidence down. And I think when I think about me growing up and me having as much anxiety as I did, I didn't even know that I had anxiety when I was in high school, you guys. Like I had no idea. Didn't know I had it when I was in like grade school or whatever you call that. But I think I cared so much about what other people thought, and I think I cared so much about making mistakes. And I think a lot of that came from, and this is going to sound so like I'm a baby, but I think so much of that was how my older sister treated me. I literally vividly remember this one time, and I sound like such a baby for saying this, but like I feel like it was almost traumatizing. I was so we were at daycare. We went to daycare every day after school. So we'd go from school, we would walk from school to daycare. Both of us would go. We'd go together. We wouldn't walk together. You guys, we weren't friends, okay? Like, we didn't like each other. We would walk separately. We'd go to daycare. And at daycare, so we usually stayed until like our parents came back. So we'd eat, we'd like have our snacks, everything would happen there. And there's always like little dramas that happen in it's such a mess. Like now that I think back to it, I don't even think I'm not going to say anything about our babysitter, but like I don't think we really vibed there. I don't think we liked it from my memories anyways. And we were sitting at the table, all of us. So it was like maybe 10 kids just chilling. We were all having our snacks, hanging out. Maybe we were coloring. I have no idea what we were doing. And I started like laughing about something because I thought something was really funny. I literally was like, this is hilarious. I have to laugh about this. And my sister literally looks at me and she's like, oh my God, that's actually disgusting. Why would you say that? And like, why are you laughing about it? Like, that's so stupid. And I was like, and like, that is such, when I think back to it now and I actually say it out loud, like, that is such a sister thing to do. Like, it isn't a big deal. But I obviously took it in this way of, oh my God, like, now I feel like an idiot. I remember being super embarrassed. I was like, now I feel dumb. And then it just kind of like I remember after that moment, I thought so much about what I was going to say in every single moment. And still to this day, I do. Not as much. I don't really care as much. But I feel like there was multiple times where that had happened, and I just felt very judged and very obviously just not comfortable. Maybe I should see a therapist about this. I don't know. But I felt very not comfortable, and I think it took for me to like move away from my hometown and build that confidence in different jobs and different situations. Putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is what's going to essentially grow your confidence, in my opinion. I think that putting myself in those situations, even if I think about the first time that I flew by myself, I was putting myself into a situation that made me very uncomfortable. When we were growing up and we were traveling, and nothing against my mom, but she's kind of a little bit of a stressful person when you're traveling. She's like double checking everything. And as she should, we were children. We had no idea we'd probably forget stuff, but it made security very stressful. It made the whole flight very stressful. It made I feel like I overthought a lot when we were going on family vacations. And so my first flight experience alone, without family, by myself, was putting myself in a situation that I was very uncomfortable, putting myself in the situation of like, what if the security guard pulls me aside, which what are they going to find? Like, realistically, I was like such a goody two shoes. But putting myself out there like that and to have to talk to people and to have to like, you know, you, yeah, it really forces you to grow like a lot. And so the girl I was talking to the other day, when she was mentioning that she had grown up like quiet and like me, I was like, instantly, I was like, the very first thing that grew that basically just got me out of my shell was 100% traveling and getting back to just being like a people pleaser and feeling judged all the time. I think that traveling and growing my confidence is two things that got me out of that. I feel like I don't people please anymore. Yeah, sometimes, because I think we all do, but at the same time, I think there's different moments when you're like, oh, I absolutely, have to support my friend and I have to, not even that, like people pleasing, I think, is changing your opinion to please other people. And I feel like there's so many different instances. Actually, I want to tell you another story. There was this time I was at a public gym. I haven't been to a public gym, you guys, in like a while. Okay, I've been going to a private gym for a while. And I was at this public gym and so I was squatting. Maybe I was doing RDLs. I don't squat very often. And this girl came up beside me and we kind of chatted for a minute. We were like, so there was two squat racks together and I was on the one and I was in between sets. I was like just maybe doing another set. I don't know. In between sets basically. So I'd already been there for a minute and then she came up and she hadn't racked anything. So she hadn't put any weights on anything. She didn't even do like a practice set. But we saw each other and we had to start talking, right? Like we were obviously like, hey, how's it going? What's up? Like we haven't seen each other in a minute. And someone came up to her and they were like, oh, like, are you still using that squat rack? And she's like, oh, no, 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 I'm not using it at all. And she literally gave it away before she even used it. And I actually wanted to I felt this, it was so weird, you guys. I felt this like motherly instinct or something that I wanted to like step in and be like, no, like she hasn't used it yet. Like, get your own squat rack. But I obviously didn't because I think that everyone can handle their own. But I actually genuinely felt this like, I have been there where I would literally do anything for someone else and anything to not put me in an not even that that's an awkward situation. I just think that it's like, it's almost like confrontation that you want to be like, no, I'm still using that. Like, I also, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but I really feel like I could just feel that feeling that she was feeling. I could feel the feeling of like, I don't want to say no because I don't want to upset anyone or, and now that I'm talking about this, a lot of what I felt and a lot of anxiety and a lot of the judgment that maybe I felt or the being in certain situations and not being able to, speak for myself, a lot of it probably came from just how I grew up. And I think I mean, probably I'm speaking for everyone right now. I think a lot of us grew up in the sense of our parents cared a lot about like the look and making everything almost perfect. I feel really grateful that we're in this space of not judging people as much. Like we're a little bit more open minded. We're a little bit more, we don't judge so fast. And also, we can, our generation, I feel, can sense when people are really fake and we just know that, like, you think about our parents, okay? I feel like my parents grew up and our parents grew up in this sense of a white picket fence. Like, we have to get married and we have to have kids and we have to act like our entire life is perfect. Like, nothing's wrong. Like, don't cause drama, don't cause a scene, don't put yourself out there. Um, don't do anything too dramatic because it causes attention and you don't want that. And I feel like we're in this time, which I love, like I'm so happy, where you almost want that. Like you want to cause the drama and you want to um, put yourself out there. Maybe we don't all want to do that. Maybe that's just me speaking for myself. Could be. um, but anyway, okay, I don't even know where I'm really even going with this entire podcast. I just feel like people pleasing has been such a big change. It's been something that when I realized that I was doing it, when I actually like grew the confidence to kind of stop doing it, you start being like, okay, I can say no to things. I can set my boundaries. I can also feel my self-worth going back up. Like we a lot of times are lacking self-worth. I am speaking for so many people, but I want to speak for myself. I think growing up, I lacked so much self-worth in high school, in middle school, in even university. University, I started to get out of my shell a little bit, but I don't think that I ever, and now that I talk about it, I talked to another girl that felt the same way where we both feel like this, being 27, is the first time that we felt this self-worth vibe. Like we can say no to things and we don't have to be this person that everyone wants us to be, essentially, which I don't think anyone's putting any pressure on anyone anymore. And I think that's actually really cool. Like, I just remember being in, oh my God, when I was in high school, I cared so much about everyone else's opinion, even, and I think you should care about your friend's opinion, but I think I cared a little bit too much to the point of like, I would do things to, I feel like I'm almost like dancing around people pleasing, but I would do things that I wouldn't normally do because other people wanted me to, or because other friends wanted me to do stuff. Um, yeah, I've kind of lost where I'm going with this. Oh, I got it. Okay, I have actually probably two more stories to tell you guys that I didn't realize was a problem. So here's my first. When I was in high school, I don't know if you guys know, but I don't know if you guys had this. We used to have finals, okay, and or midterms and finals, same thing. Midterms. I feel like it was my first like midterm experience, and first of all, midterms were kind of scary. They were okay. I'm just gonna set the scene because I feel like this is very important for this story. So, my first midterm experience was it almost felt like COVID vibes. There was this speaker in the gym. So, we had to do this in the gymnasium in high school. And they set up the desks in rows. It was very just proper, and you had to line up in like alphabetical order. Your desk had to be, you had to like wear certain clothing with like, I don't know, you couldn't wear like a hoodie, or you couldn't wear, it was, it was weird. It was so weird. But like they obviously didn't want you like cheating and stuff. And then you could only take like a pencil, and you could only, there was so many rules, which set it up to be even scarier. And even in the gym, there was these speakers that were saying like sit in your desk, and it was like on this loop. So I don't know, it just felt not, it just wasn't a vibe. It was on this loop saying like sit in the desk that like your name tag is on, put your pencil to like the left side, and like make sure that your water bottle is on the ground in front of you, and no talking, and there's um no everything, no cell phones, your cell phone couldn't be on, like there was so many things. And I think this is the first time that I realized that like I just had this like anxiety and this like fear of like being a person. Um, we had, I was scared to even ask for a pencil sharpener during my test if like my pencil broke or something. Like I over prepared for every situation when I was growing up, which is not a bad thing. Like I think that's fine. I just think that it built so much anxiety in me that I was scared to make mistakes. I was scared to even drop my pencil. I was scared of any sort of attention on me because, like, oh my God, what if someone looks at me? What if I get kicked out? What if I fail this test? What? There was so many what ifs going through my head. And I was like filled, I was just this little ball of anxiety when I was younger. And I feel like it's not that that was a bad thing. I think it's fine that I grew up that way. I think I got good grades from it. I think I learned so much. But I think that the moment, and I think this was sometime when I was in Vancouver, the moment that I realized I could make mistakes, and the moment that I realized making mistakes led me to first meeting other people because you have something to talk about. You can be like, oh, like if I dropped my pencil during that test or something, I could have talked about it to other people. I could have made friends from it. You know, there could have been so many like things that could have happened. And then also, just the moment that I found out that making mistakes and being a normal human being is normal, and you're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to be a little bit different. Um, you are allowed to literally just be yourself. Like, we don't have the entire world figured out. And I know that this podcast has kind of been all over the place, but I think it's stuff that I needed to hear. And I think it's stuff that maybe other people need to hear, and maybe you don't. But I think I wish I would have learned all this stuff a little bit earlier. I think I would have liked to have had the self-worth that I have right now. I wish I would have had that when I was in high school, because I wish I could have had that confidence to tell people no, the confidence to get out of situations when I didn't want to be in them, but also the confidence to bring up topics and talk about things that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. You know, I feel like right now I am able to actually have conversations with people and bring things up that I never would have ever, ever thought to brought up when I was in high school. Even I'm trying to think of like a example. I can't think of one right now, but realistically, um, I think self-worth is like everything. When you talk about being feminine and when you talk about being confident and when you talk about um, trying to stop that like people please judgment. When you feel like people are judging you and you feel like you have to be a people pleaser and you have to be this like certain person, I think that having confidence and I think that feeling into that like feminine confident side is just what changes it and what gets you onto the other side of feeling that and gets you onto just feeling yourself, I guess. I guess that's like what this whole podcast is about, because I just genuinely wish that somebody would have made a podcast about this when I was in high school and even before that. Not that I wish any different on my life, but I do feel like we can sometimes just put ourselves into the box of being like an outcast when we're like really not, and we really fit in, I guess. That was the most random solo episode ever. I hope you guys got a little bit of information from that. I definitely 100% spoke from the heart on like all of that. And I feel like maybe some of you guys just needed to hear that. When you just have this feeling that you have to talk about something and maybe someone will get something from it. That was kind of this. So, yeah. Thanks for listening, you guys, and I'll see you at the next episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.